everyone the heads up. Ayan.
Pauline is also here. Hi, Pauline from Santa Rosa. She's always attending our webinars.
Ayan. Thank you to everyone na regulars na for our free webinar series. So ayan, no, Gabby, I think we can tone down the music and then we can start our introduction into today's topic. So, ayan. So today, we're discussing confidant leadership. And yung subtitle niya is Drawing the Line Between Leadership and Friendship. Now, Gabby, that terminology, confidant leadership, have you ever heard of that term?
Actually, no, Alma, because the term does not exist.
Exactly. So ayan, for those who don't know, like confidant leadership, these are from the two words confidant and leadership. Confidant is someone that you confide in, someone that you're open to as your friend, someone you can trust, share your stories with. And leadership from the root word leader is someone who is a leader essentially. This is a concept that has interested us, no, 'di ba, Gabi? Kasi
Yeah.
lalo na ngayon na maraming mga startups and new companies, mas nauuso na yung ang iyong mga coworker ay very comfortable sila with their boss. Again, depende naman sa tao 'yon. And we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to explore what benefits or possibly the opposite of benefits, what bad sides does it have if you confide with your boss.
Yeah, diba? And also at the same time, a lot of bosses want to, alam mo yun, establish a deeper relationship with the employees. So where do we draw the line? And that's what we're gonna find out this afternoon.
Yeah, and that's great, no, Gabby. You gave the perspective from the person wanting to reach out to their boss, and the boss that also wants to reach out to their coworkers. So
Mm-hmm.
let us indeed explore that this afternoon. So for a quick introduction from us from the team, ayan, normally we just show the faces, yung mga profile picture namin sa Facebook, but when we have here a picture, this is me. My name is Luis Almazar, and I'm the Wellbeing Services Associate. And joining me is my wonderful co-host.
Yes, and I'm Gabby, and I'm the Learning and Development Associate of Positive Workplaces.
Yes, ayun. Sana naman na-enjoy niyo yung picture na pinakita namin. We took this in our last outing sa farm ng aming boss. Ayan, may lettuce farm sila. Ayan. So we always like to start very quickly in positive workplaces. What is the mission of positive workplaces? And it's essentially to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And how do we do that? We do it through what is called the positivity ripples. So that is our strategy that you're going to see in the next slide. So we start with, of course, leading the self. How do you lead the self? You can become a better leader of your own well-being by learning a lot more about these positive concepts, learnings and teachings from positive workplaces, and maybe not from us. You can also learn it through various other reasons. But the main purpose is to teach you to become a better leader of your own well-being. And once you can do that, you can now go on to lead others. You can infect others with what you've learned, the good things, and inspire people to pay it forward, kumbaga. And if you're doing that, and then you're spreading it to more and more people, you can now lead cultures. And examples of the cultures that we like here in positive workplaces are compassion, team cohesion, psychological safety, and an emphasis on the well-being of people in general. These are great cultures to have in companies nowadays. And if companies all around the Philippines or even all around the world have these great cultures, that's what we call positive workplaces. And that's what we seek to achieve here in the Philippines in our mission. So, ayan.
Since you've been here with us since day one, so we in this April, our theme is the boss I want to be. In day one, we learned from Maribel Agripay. We learned how to be a mentor. And then just last Tuesday, we had Gio and we learned how to be a coach. And this afternoon, we're going to be with John. So we know how to be a confident leader.
Yes. Ayan. So ayan, very quickly, we're just gonna go by the reminders, no? Since we don't want to take away from the time. So one, please have another device or kahit another tab po on your browser to be ready to go to another link. So we make use of Menti. So don't worry po, you will see the link that will be sent in the chat. We encourage you all to participate. So it's a very engaging session this afternoon. We want you guys to prepare a pen and paper because you guys are gonna learn a lot. And lastly, we have a chat box that's open po for everyone. We encourage you guys to be engaging even in the chat box, pero please be respectful for everyone. And Gabby, do you want to take the next?
Yes, and of course, we will also be issuing your evaluation form at the end. Once John finishes his topic, so just hang in there. Our intern Reco will be sharing that link later. And then once you fill out the form, you will be receiving your e-certificate. And again, just some reminders, our form will be open for 30 minutes only once it's posted. So again, make sure to write your full name and email address because we have an app called Certifyem and it automatically sends in your form to your email addresses. Okay, and if you haven't received the certificate right after filling up the form, kindly wait 2 days before following up. Because there might be a delay kasi kung titingnan natin, we're reaching 400, 500 na. So, antayin lang natin yun.
And ayan, so before we start again, today we're going to be discussing confidant leadership with our very own CEO and co-founder of Positive Workplaces, John Riley Baluyat. So wag na natin patagalin pa. John, I give the floor to you. I think you are muted now.
Hello,
Yes.
Gabby. Can you hear me?
Hello, John.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
So please forgive me because like my internet bandwidth right now is a bit weak. So if ever I chop a little bit, just charge it to Globe Telecom. No, just kidding. Siguro just to start muna with everyone, no. I just wanna ask for people who already know me, please say hi to me in the chat box, and for people who don't yet, then I'll introduce myself to you in a little bit, no. Just trying to make the connections better. Okay. There. Yes, good afternoon. I saw Pauline kanina. She's here. I think I saw some office mates did at my previous company. Hello, guys. Alma, Alma and Gabby, can you stall for 5 minutes for me or less than 5 minutes muna? Maybe you can just like
Sure.
have some short chika. I just need to restart my computer, but I'll make it worth it when I come back, okay?
Okay, sure, John.
Actually, because of that, I actually wanted to ask everyone a question. No? Since our topic is on confidant leadership, which I can share again for everyone para alam niyo yung terminologies that we're going to be using for today. My question for everyone is, gaano po kayo ka-close sa inyong boss? Ayan ang tanong ko. Are you close to your boss? Do you abhor your boss? Or maybe you want to answer from the boss perspective. If you are the boss, gaano kayo ka-close sa mga subordinates or co-workers nyo? Ayan, sabi ni Kimberly Anna, super like a friend na. Ayan, may super pa yan na. We have Kath, very honest. Thank you for that. Kath says, na. Ayan.
Florence, close enough.
Not that close. Ayan. Actually, you can already see John's presentation here. No? John, at any time, if you're okay, you can take it from us.
I think I'm good now. Thank you so much, Alma. And thank you so much, everyone. Great question, Alma, to start with, no? Gaano ba kayo ka-close with your boss? Sabi, I limit my relationship with her. Nasasabihan ng problema, medyo lang, sakto lang. Not that close. Close enough to know what matter, to know personal matters, like a parent, etc. So that's what we are going to talk about, no? What's the sweet spot ba between leadership or that professional relationship and also friendship? Because sometimes if we don't know where the line is, and sometimes also I make the same mistakes, no? Like if I feel too close with my team, may mga hindi magandang epekto sa atin as subordinates or minsan sa akin as a leader, or minsan naman pag hindi ako talaga close doon sa tao, hindi rin masyadong mataas yung aking influence over them, 'di ba? And that is what leadership is about. Leadership is a process of influencing a group of people or a person towards a certain goal. So let me first start very quickly with introducing myself. Para at least you know naman my background. So my name is John and I'm one of the co-founders of Positive Workplaces. My specialization is really in strategy, leadership, and organizational learning. Culture is one of the things that organizational culture is one of the things that I really savor, no, when it comes to my expertise. Kasi pag nakikita mo yung kultura ng isang organization, nakikita mo kung ano yung mga values nila, yung mga pinapangahalagahan nila, at saka kung ano yung klaseng mga tao yung meron doon sa organization na yun. Because it makes it easier to deal with people pag kilala natin kung ano yung kultura nila. Tama po ba? Na meron po ba tayong ganung vibe na pag alam mo at kilala mo yung tao at kilala mo yung organization, parang mas mabilis makitungo doon sa tao or doon sa kultura na yon. Ayan. Sabi ni Sigrid, absolutely. Sabi ni Rain, agree. Sabi ni Owie, yes, I agree. Ayan. 'Di ba? Mas masarap pag may knowledge ka ng kultura. And that's why I really love that. I also have a behavioral science degree for my undergrad. And I finished my MBA from De La Salle University. I'm also part of the Australia Awards cohort in 2019, where I finished my Master of Leadership in Organizational Learning from Monash University, Australia. I was also the president of the Philippine Society for Talent Development, or it was known as Philippine Society for Training and Development, in 2020. So yeah, so that's a quick overview of myself in terms of my academic credentials. And I've worked with a Swiss multinational organization for about 10 years, almost 10 years, almost a decade. Yun. Okay, so ano ba yung learning roadmap natin? Very short. Number one is, bakit importante for leaders to develop personal and professional relationships within their teams? Second is, ano ba yung tinatawag natin na confidant leadership? Just like what Alma and Gabby were talking about kanina. And the third is, paano natin mababalanse yung professional interest natin at yung personal interest natin at ng ating mga subordinates as leaders? Kasi alam nyo kayo, pwedeng marami dito leaders na in their own ways. Pwede ditong leaders na pero kahit na hindi pa manager or supervisor, pero leader na kayo kasi nag-i-impluwensya kayo ng ibang tao towards a common goal. Pwede naman na on the way pa lang kayo dyan, 'di ba? Sa pagiging mga leaders. So it's very nice to have all of these knowledge available with us para ma-practice din natin. So let me start this with a question. Why is it important for leaders to develop a personal and professional relationship with their team? And I want to lead you to a Mentimeter question. I want you to imagine a good leader who is also a good friend. Kasi kanina maraming nagsabi, di ba, na yung leader ko, friend ko, ganyan. So I want you to imagine a good leader who is also a good friend. And I want you to answer in Mentimeter, how do you feel that relationship helps in your work or in your role? Sige nga. So you can shoot the QR code from the chat box, from the slides, or you can also click the link in the chat box. So nakikita niyo po yung mga pictures na ginagamit ko. Sobrang dami ko na pong teams na na-handle. Sobrang dami na po at saka big teams po sila. So can you imagine like how many friends I've made out of these individuals? So I want to ask, in the Mentimeter, how do you feel that relationship helps? Yo, napakabibilis, oh. Love it. So one person said, it's easier to ask for help pag kaibigan mo. 'Di ba? Bakit kaya? 'Di ba? Isipin natin yan, bakit kaya mas madaling mag-ask ng tulong pag feeling mo kaibigan mo yung iyong boss mo? It makes work easier. It's a bit uncertain sometimes, medyo may negative nga naman na effect yan. Big sibling, young sibling, oh, I like this, no? Sometimes you replicate the familial relationship from your family towards your work, and because of that comfort or level of relational, that level of relationship, nagkakaroon kayo ng mas fluid also na interaction. It makes you become more open about different problems. Totoo yan, very important. It makes access to support easy and comfortable. 'Di ba? Yung parang hindi ka mahihirapan na magtanong doon sa leader mo. Kasi minsan pag may leader na wala kang relationship with, parang nakakatakot, di ba? Nakakatakot na nakakatakot na magtanong kasi baka mamaya alam mo yung parang singhalan ka o kaya baka pag hindi mo kilala yung leader or wala kayong personal relationship, minsan napaparanoid tayo kasi iniisip natin na hala pag nagtanong ba ako ng question dito, baka mamaya isipin niya na ang bobo ko naman or ang tanga-tanga ko naman. Minsan pag wala yung relationship na yun, di ba? We have so many assumptions in our head that stops us from making the relationship good or for making transactions, right? Ano pa, happy environment, work feels like home. I can become very open and honest. So may trust na, di ba? May trust na kayo. Communication will be better. It helps in a way that you are comfortable with them. Oh, it felt light to do tasks. This is such an amazing response. Totoo to, no? Pag kunyari, may maganda kang relationship sa boss mo or sa leader mo, parang ang sarap magtrabaho kasi parang ang sarap mag-accomplish ng tasks, no? You know, makes the work lighter, etc. It becomes more easy to share privy matters with him or with her. Madaling tanungan. Yan, di ba? So, yung mostly relationships yung ating pinatutunguhan dito ng mga ideas. Tsaka comfort. Yun yung common theme. Comfort, relationship, ease, ano pa, open communication, and nakikita ko, reduces stress at work. Very good. Thank you so much for all of these amazing insights. Alam niyo po, yung konsepto po na yan ay supported by a lot of studies. So for example, according to Houston in 2021, positive relationship in the workplace is one of the primary determinants of a flourishing organization. Do you believe in this? See nga in the chat box, do you believe na pag may positive relationships in the workforce, magpa-flourish yung organization, mas nagpa-flourish yung organization? Naniniwala ba kayo dyan? Ayan, yes, agree. Laliman natin ngayon yung discussion. Bakit? Bakit pag may positive relationships in the workplace, mas nagpa-flourish yung organization? Alam niyo po ang daming frameworks on well-being or yung tinatawag natin na kaginhawaan. For example, the father of modern positive psychology, Martin Seligman, alam niyo to, kung nanonood kayo sa Positive Workplaces, parati namin dinidiscuss that Martin Seligman was the originator of the PERMA model. Ang sinasabi niya is, tataas ang well-being ng tao pag merong positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. Tingnan mo to sa trabaho, tingnan mo to sa relationship mo, sa asawa mo, sa boyfriend, girlfriend, kung ano man. Tingnan mo to sa kaibigan mo, magre-reflect na mas mataas yung well-being nyo pag nandyan yung lima na yan. Right? And same thing with Ryan and Desi. Ang sabi naman nila is, pag meron itong tatlong to, tumataas lalo yung well-being ng tao. Tinatawag natin autonomy or freedom, relatedness or pakikitungo, competence o kakayahan, right? Ano yung nakikita yung common doon sa dalawang well-being frameworks? Ano yung nakikita yung common? Let's see in the chat box. Yes! Oh, I love it. Talagang ano niya na ang positive workplaces, ha? It's relationships and relatedness. Alam niyo po yung sinasabi natin na relationship with the boss and subordinate, it's pretty much the same with everything else in our lives. Nagtatrabaho po tayo ng 8 to 18 hours in a day, di ba? That's what, 1/3 or 2/3 of our life in a working week. And most of that, we deal with our bosses and our colleagues. Can you imagine if our relationships or that relatedness is bad in those 8 to 18 hours of work every day of the week? Di ba nakakalungkot? Nakakalungkot. And that's why it's very important for us as leaders or subordinates to take care and cultivate relationships in the workforce. I-reinforce din ito nung sinasabi natin, according to Hofstede, ang kultura ng Pilipino ay very collectivist. So, yung isang tinatawag na dimension of culture ni Hofstede is individualism. Ang ibig sabihin dito is yung level ng comfort ng tao na mas maging independent or makapag-isa when they're making their own choices and they're making their decisions. Sa Pilipinas, mababa ang individualism. Ibig sabihin, we are a collectivist society. So di ba napakahilig po natin sa Pilipinas na mag-ayaan? Alam mo yan, di ba yung kunyari, pagkatapos ng trabaho o 2 bottles nga, ganyan. O kaya yung pag sa mga ating mga kababaihan, ano to ha, not to be sexist or anything, pero common po sa atin yung pag magsi-CR tayo, yung, uy, sino yung magsi-CR? Tapos magsasabay-sabay papunta sa CR, di ba? Very collectivist yon. O kaya, yung mga fiesta natin, we like a lot of people, being around a lot of people. Or yung mga, merienda, sabi ni Gabi, di ba? Yung merienda, gusto natin sabay-sabay. Gusto natin yung sa family, marami sa atin gusto yung sana mas kasama natin yung marami nating mga pinsan, 'di ba? Or mga kamag-anak. We are a collectivist society like that, and that reflects also in our work. So that means that relationship-wise, it's very important also for us as a culture na nandoon yung ganung klaseng relatedness. Okay? Ano pa? On a perspective of leadership, meron tayong tinatawag na 6 na power bases. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Ito yung mga iba-ibang ways to influence yung ating mga subordinates. Right? Meron tayong tinatawag na legitimate power or yung rank. May tinatawag tayo na rewards power. Yung pag may nagawa kang mabuti, magkakaroon ka ng reward. Meron tayong tinatawag na coercive power. Pag may ginawa kang masama, mapaparusahan ka. May tinatawag tayong expert power. Pag magaling yung tao, matalino at eksperto sa field niya, susundin natin lalo. May tinatawag na information power. Information power is pag maraming kang alam na information about certain things, kahit na hindi ka expert, pwede kang sundin ng mga tao kasi meron kang information na kailangan nila. But the thing that we are focusing here is yung tinatawag na referent power. Pag confident leadership ka, ikaw ay likable. Yung referent power ay tinatawag na it's based on the person's followers' identifications and liking of a leader. Meron ba kayong leader dito na sobrang hiyang kayo? Yung alam mo na kahit na anong sabihin niyang leader na yun, susunod ka kasi gusto niyo siya. Meron ba kayong ganong leader sa opisina? Sa opisina, sa school orgs niyo, may teacher ba kayo na ganyan? Yung alam niyo na, grabe, sobrang hiyang ako dito sa tao na to. Susundin ko talaga yan, mag-request yan sa akin, gano'n. Di ba? May mga gano'n, may mga, because of likability, yun tinatawag natin na referent power, because of likability. Yeah, lalo sa church, tama si Alex. Lalo sa church minsan, because sobrang likable nila, susunod tayo, di ba? Like, even, charismatic leaders like priests, gano'n, very, very likable sila, they have referent power, and then, we really follow them. Yun yung isang reason kung bakit confident leadership is very important. Kasi likability is a source of influence. Without influence, leadership is going to be very poor. Tandaan nyo yan. With very little influence, leadership is going to be very poor. Because leadership is defined by Peter Northouse as the process of influencing others to achieve a certain goal. So kung mababa yung influence natin, ibig sabihin hindi tayo magaling na leader. Agree po ba tayo doon? Nai-imagine niyo po ba yung mga leaders niyo sa office na walang sumusunod? Yung nanggagalaiti na pero hindi pa rin sinusunod. O kaya meron tayong mga leaders dito na alam mo na may posisyon sila, pero hirap na hirap sila na magpasunod ng mga tao kasi hindi sila gusto. Mga ganyan. O kaya may mga leaders din tayo minsan na kahit na alam mo na matalino sila, mababa yung kanilang charm, so hindi rin sila masyadong sinusunod ng mga tao, di ba? So influence is a very important component of leadership, and when you have referent power through confident leadership, it increases your likability, it increases your influence. That is the importance of confident leaders are one of the key players in enhancing positive relationships at work. So ayan po ang picture namin, nasa sports fest po kami niyan. Yan po yung team ko. Siguro like that's 2 teams away from when I left my previous company. And what basically the benefits that we get from confident leadership is it increases our well-being. Kasi nga relatedness and relationships is a component of well-being. So pag confident leadership ka at maganda yung relationship mo with your peers, tumataas yung well-being. Tumataas din yung health mo. Kasi mas nagagawa mong i-manage yung iyong stress. Kasi di ba meron ba kayong mga ka-office, magpakatotoo na tayo, Meron ba kayo mga ka-office mates dito na stress kayo kasi sobrang sasama ng mga ugali o kaya hindi nyo talaga makasundo. Talaga namang ginawa mo ng lahat pero ano naman, parang ikaw pa rin yung may kasalanan. So, at ayun, tingnan mo, napakadami. Nung nagtanong ako ng negative, dumami yung sagot. So, di ba, nakaka-apekto ba yon sa well-being nyo? Pag nasa-stress kayo dun sa mga katrabaho nyo or sa boss nyo, di ba? Nakaka-apekto ba yon sa health nyo? Nakaka-apekto, di ba? Siyempre, tumataas yung, nyari yung mga may matataas yung mga BP dyan, o kaya yung mga mabilis hingalin, yun, alam mo yung mga sumasakit yung likod dahil nasa stress, ganyan. Apektado yung health nyo doon, siyempre. And siyempre, apektado din yung productivity nyo. Pag hindi maganda yung relationships nyo with your leaders or hindi maganda yung relationships nyo at work. Kasi madidemotivate ka. Nadidemotivate tayo. Pag hindi ko gusto yung mga katrabaho ko, parang, hindi ako mag-perform. Lalo kung walang performance management system yung company, tapos hindi ako kayang tanggalin. Pag mababa yung performance ko, bahala na, susweldo na lang ako. Ganun. Of course, hindi maganda yon, di ba? Kasi syempre, it reflects badly on us. Pero sometimes, because of that lack of engagement, kasi the relationships are bad, bumibigat. Tama yung sinasabi ni Reagan, ang daling bumigat ng trabaho dahil yung relationships at work ay hindi maganda. Okay? So, nakukuhaan nyo na ba kung bakit importante yung confident leadership so far? Na-internalize nyo ba where I'm getting at? Right? Hindi ako sasagot, hindi kayo sumagot sa chat box. Dumandi. Joke lang po. So yes. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Joke lang po yan. Baka mamaya, sipin nyo talagang dinidemand yung mga sagot. Okay. So let's talk about confident leadership. Ayan. Ano nga ba yung confident leadership? So ito po yung yung inuman namin, sobrang taas ng aking hangover kasi meron pong mobile bar. Alam niyo naman po ang mobile bar sa kumpanya, di ba? Like uubusin po talaga ng mga empleyado yan hanggat nandun at nakatirik yung yung mobile bar. So ang saya po ng party, these are my teammates. Tapos we celebrated our win. Because we did very well with our jobs. Tapos I really was able to establish a great relationship with them. Yung mga iba po dito, ninong po ako ng mga anak nila. Yung mga iba po dito, hanggang ngayon, nag-reach out sila sa akin kasi they're asking for advice as a mentor. Yung iba po dito, talagang nung kinasal po ako sa Australia, lumipad galing ng Singapore, galing ng ibang bansa para lang po umattend ng kasal ko. Ganun po yung relationship na ina-establish namin. So, ano po ba yung confident leadership? So, let me ask you this question in Mentimeter. Can you describe what a confidant is? Ano yung impression niyo? Ano yung impression niyo ng confidant? Sige nga. You can use the same link in the chat box. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng confidant? Ayan, trust. Very big word, trust. Friend, trust. Comfort, trust. Easy to rely on or reliability, trust. Rapport, confidence in disclosing where I need help in, camaraderie, trust. Mentor, trust. Napakadaming trust, no? Galing. Someone you can trust, yan. My person, correct. Can shape an individual, sharing. Praises you when you achieve something good, but never hesitates to correct you when you are at fault. O, di ba? May ganong relationship na kayo. Trust, influential, like a close friend, a trusted person. Di ba? Very good. So, tama po kayo. Confident leaders are persons with whom one shares a secret or personal private matters with. Baka may isipin nyo na, bakit ganon? Di ba may line na dun sa professional relationship natin with work? Bakit kailangan natin mag-share ng something personal? Yun po yung pamamaraan para lumalim yung relationship, di ba? So, minsan, kailangan po talaga natin maging vulnerable at mag-share ng some personal details that we are comfortable with. Yun yung keyword doon that we are comfortable with the people who we look at as confidants. Imagine your friends, di ba? Nung nag-meet kayo, for example, nung best friend mo, Hindi ka naman kaagad nag-share na, ay, by the way, bakla nga po pala ako, di ba? Mga ganon. Hindi naman kaagad ganun-ganunan, di ba? Hindi naman yung sobrang lalim kaagad nung share, ay, oo nga po pala, illegitimate child po ako. Mga ganon. Di ba? Hindi naman, sa umpisa, hindi ka naman mag-share ng ganun kalalim kaagad na information. Pero, when you are comfortable, when you've already established that certain level of trust, nag-share ka ng mas malalim na information about yourself because pinagkakatiwalaan mo yung tao. Hindi po yun iba sa leader. Just because yung leader nyo, meron kayong professional relationship, does not mean that you cannot establish a personal relationship with them. It is your choice. Okay? It is your choice to do that. Kasi if you feel comfortable and you feel like you're going to benefit from it and both of you are going to benefit from it, yun, dun po lumalabas yung tinatawag natin na confidant leadership. Okay? Clear po ba? Lalaliman pa po natin itong discussion na ito. Yung confident leadership po, ang maganda pong pag-isipan dyan is, asan yung line? Asan yung line kung kailan magiging okay, kung kailan magiging hindi? At yung confident leadership, meron po siyang tinatawag na spectrum. Okay? So this is one example. This is one example of the spectrum. Yung nasa gitna, yun yung balance. Yung nasa kaliwa ba? Kaliwa mo sa screen. Yung nasa kaliwa mo, yun yung parang walang masyadong confident leadership. Yung nasa kanan mo, yun yung sobra naman. Sobra yung confident leadership. Okay? So, ano yung nasa kaliwa? Nasa kaliwa, pag mababa yung confident leadership, very transactional. Ano yung trabaho mo? Ano yung consequences pag hindi mo nagawa yung trabaho mo, ano yung rewards pag hindi mo nagawa yung trabaho mo, hanggang doon lang tayo. Okay, transactional. Ano yung nandun sa far right? Nasa far right is, sobrang close nyo na minsan, yung official duties nyo at yung responsibilities nyo na aapektuhan nung personal interest. Ang tinatawag doon is conflict of interest. Yung conflict of interest is when the interest of the organization and your interest personal start to converge, tapos nalalabuan na kayo pareho ng leader nyo kung ano yung tama. Okay? Clear po ba yun? I'll give you an example. Yung isang employee, for instance, nag-confide sa'yo, wala po ako masyadong pera ngayon, kailangan po ng pamilya ko, personal. Tapos sa professional, bonus season, tapos hindi siya masyadong nagpe-perform, pero alam mo na kailangan niya ng pera at pag nagkaroon siya ng mas mataas na rating, pwedeng makatulong sa kanya yon. So ang conflict of interest is, i-consider mo yung personal niya na interest kahit na alam mo na yung professional interest ay hindi tamang pag-apply doon sa personal interest mo na yun. Pag nag-conversion or nag-combine yung dalawang yon, tapos ang ginawa mong decision is, sige na nga, tutulungan kita. Taasan ko ng konti yung rating mo ha para makakuha ka ng additional na rewards. That is an example of conflict of interest. Okay? Yung nasa gitna, yung tinatawag natin na balanse. You build relationships utilizing the values, inclusivity, the loyalty to the organization's values, and you invest time and energy in earning trust and respect pa rin. So nandun pa rin yung iyong respeto sa professional, pero may compassion ka naman. Kumbaga, kung may policy, i-apply mo yung policy. Pero kung may personal ka na kailangan tulong, pwede mo siyang tulungan personally without bending the rules for that person exclusively. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So I want to ask you this question in Menti. Nasaan kayo dyan? Nasaan kayo dun sa spectrum na yun? So ang Menti na question na to ay dot. Okay? Imagine niyo yung leader nyo at saka ikayo. Nasaan kayo dyan? Nandun ba kayo sa transactional? Ibig sabihin, wala kayong masyadong relationship talaga at all na personal. Nandun ba kayo sa confidant? Ibig sabihin, tama lang, may balanse. O nandun ba kayo sa conflict of interest na talaga namang nag-combine na yung personal at professional nyo at hindi nyo na ma-distinguish kung ano dun yung tama or mali. And don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed kasi importante po na maging honest kayo dito para ma-process nyo po ng tama yung experience nyo about the topic. Pag hindi nyo po kasi linabas kung ano yung, wala naman pong pangalan yan eh. Diba? Kung hindi nyo po linabas kung ano yung tama, hindi nyo po mapaprocess sa sarili nyo kung ano rin po yung dapat i-apply na knowledge. Nagpapa-shoutout si Kim from Ordaneta. Hello, Kim. Shout out to you from Ordaneta, Ordaneta City University. Hello. Okay. So, ang galing, no? Ang galing nung nakikita nyo ngayon sa harapan nyo. Transactional. Maraming nasa transactional din. Siguro mga nasa, what's this? Like, siguro mga 40% or 35%. Tapos yung mga nandun naman sa confidant, marami-rami din. So, ibig sabihin, nare-regulate natin yung ating mga sarili. Tapos meron naman doon na sumosobra. Nandun sa right, medyo konti-konti. Okay. So, i-internalize nyo yan ha, kasi very important na malaman nyo kung paano nyo babalansehin yung nasa gitna, which is what we will discuss later in the how. Okay? So that's the first spectrum. Transactional versus conflict of interest. Okay? Klaro po ba tayo? Sabi ni Owie, dati conflict of interest and then naging transactional kasi I got burned. Ay, natural po yun. Natural po yun na hindi kayo biglang dumaan doon sa confidant kasi napasok kayo doon sa conflict of interest. Nahihirapan na kayong bumalik kasi nahihirapan kayo doon sa trust. So you have to work on that again. Okay? So, klaro po so far yung first spectrum. Yes, thank you so much. Alam mo si Florence, napakasipag sumagot. Mahal talaga kita. Gusto ko yung ganyan. Okay. Ayan, sige, dumami na rin. Si Rain din, tsaka si Owie, tsaka si John sumagot na rin. Thank you so much for your answers. Okay. The second spectrum is yung tinatawag natin na closed off and oversharing. Ano po yung closed off? Yung closed off is yung lack of emotional connection or walang transparency in the relationship. Kung ano yung meron ka sa personal, bahala ka sa buhay mo. Kung ano yung meron ako sa personal sa buhay, bahala ako sa buhay ko as a boss. Yung oversharing naman is yung hindi natin ma-regulate yung ating emotions na so sometimes nagdi-disclose tayo ng sobrang daming information almost for the wrong intentions. Magpapaawa ka, manghihingi ka ng additional na pabor, di ba? Yung mag-overshare ka, o kaya ginawa mo ng counselor yung boss mo, wala naman siyang lisensya sa psychology, pero ginawa mo na siyang counselor, o kaya di naman siya, kunyari, inaraw-araw mo na talaga siya, di ba? Na nanghingi ka ng mga advice, gano'n. Tapos nawala na siya ng oras sa pamilya niya. So, yun yung isang example na overshare, di ba? Yun yung example na overshare. Sabi ni Florence, sa government usually oversharing, pero not all daw. Sabi ni Pauline, I think that if someone feels that the relationship is transactional, kulang ang natututunan natin sa pandemyang ito. Pwedeng gano'n. Yung gitna nito is yung authentic. Ano ibig sabihin ng authentic? Yung nag-a-act yung person based on the best interest of the team kasi yung values niya, yung values ng tao, sobrang entrenched. Kahit na may personal siya na relationship with the staff at alam niya kung ano yung priorities ng organization, yung values ng tao is very clear. Alam niya yung intention niya, alam niya kung ano yung tamang gawin, at may self-awareness siya kung ano yung limitation niya. Kaya alam niya kung ano lang yung dapat i-share. Alam niya kung ano yung hindi dapat i-share. Mga ganon. So authentic, nararamdaman mo pa rin na totoo yung tao kahit na hindi niya sinosobrahan yung kanyang pakikitungo sa'yo as a subordinate. Okay? So let's do that same exercise again. Can you pin again kung nasan kayo dito with your boss? Nandun ba kayo sa closed off? Ibig sabihin, wala talagang masyadong personal na sharing, ganyan. Okay, nandun kayo sa oversharing na talaga namang halos araw-araw umiinom kayo together hanggang sa naging magkasama na kayo talaga buong buhay, mga ganyan. Or yung authentic ba? Yung ibig sabihin, alam nyo kung saan kayo lulugar pareho, you know one another's identity, so rinirespeto nyo yung identity ng isa't isa. Nasaan kayo dyan? O ang galing dito, tingnan mo, medyo dumadami tayo doon sa close off kahit pa paano. Diba? Yung iba nasa gitna ng close off at saka authentic, right? Tapos konti lang doon sa overshare. Alam nyo, medyo natural yung konti doon sa overshare kasi po ang mga Pilipino mahihiyain. 'Di ba? Hindi po tayo mabilis mag-share ng personal information kasi feeling natin mahuhusgahan tayo, ganyan. So natural po 'yan. Pero yung closed off, going to authentic, yun po talaga yung normal na situations at work. Na either hindi mo i-open kung ano yung personal mo or i-open mo pero kaya mong i-regulate yung sarili mo kasi alam mo kung ano yung values mo at kilala mo yung sarili mo in relation to that. Okay? Very good talaga. Napaka-active nitong crowd na to. I really love it. Ilan na tayo? This is already, 500 na, ano? Diba? We already have 500 people in the room. Okay. Let's go to the last one. Yung last natin na spectrum, ito. Ito yung isang magandang fear and complacency. Okay, fear and complacency. Yun naman yung dalawang opposite. So ano yung fear? Dahil wala kayong personal relationship ng boss nyo, may takot. Disengage yung team, nahihirapan kayong mag-share sa kanya, natitrigger yung ating fight or flight response, mas nagiging defensive tayo. Kasi natatakot tayo, pag nagkamali tayo, baka may mapahiya tayo ng boss or may masamang consequence na mangyari kasi wala tayong personal relationship with them. Right? So yun yung fear, di ba? Yung other side of the spectrum is yung tinatawag natin na complacency. Ito naman yung minsan, sobrang close na natin sa boss natin, nababatukan nyo na, mga ganun. Joke lang. Okay, yung sobrang close na natin sa boss natin, yung namumura nyo na. Di ba may mga ganyan na mga conversation, yung sobrang chummy-chummy nyo na sa isa't isa para, hoy pre, minsan napapahiya nyo yung boss nyo sa harap ng ibang tao, hindi nyo alam na offend nyo na pala. Kasi ang close nyo na, kasi naging complacent kayo. O kaya, ang isa, ayun, hindi, okay pa nga yung, sabi ni Roderica, yung natatawag mong best, okay pa nga yan eh. Okay pa nga yun, best, box, ganyan, momshi, mga ganyan. Carry pa yan. Pero yung complacency yung level na, minsan, kunyari, as a boss, sobrang complacent ka dun sa relationship, minsan masyado kang maraming binibigay dun sa tao, to the point na hindi mo alam punong-puno na pala, kasi kala mo kaya pa yan, okay lang yan, napakiusap ko naman eh. O kaya pag subordinate ka naman, minsan sobrang ganda ng relationship mo, hindi mo nagagawin, or gagawin mo yung trabaho, pero hindi sobrang ganda, kasi alam mo na hindi ka naman papagalitan, kasi kaibigan ka. Yun yung complacency part naman, ng other end of the spectrum. Correct. Pwede rin yun, nasobrahan sa opinion, sabi ni Marie Chris, 'di ba? Pwedeng ganyan. So yung level ba nung comfort ng tao pareho sa isa't isa sobrang taas na sometimes you're missing the respect that is due to each other at hindi nyo masyadong nakikarry out yung objective na kailangan doon sa leadership relationship. Right? Nakaka-apekto sa output, nakaka-apekto doon sa image nyo pareho, di ba, in front of other people. So yun yung complacency. Ano yung respect? You know the line between the value of fairness and equity. Ano ibig sabihin? Alam mo, boss pa rin siya. Kahit nakaibigan mo siya, boss pa rin siya. May authority at may influensya pa rin siya dapat sa'yo. Okay? At pag boss ka, alam mo na hindi mo siya alalay. Diba? Hindi mo siya alipin. Yung mga ganon. Ano mo siya, subordinate mo siya at susundin ka niya only within the limits of the job. Right? So correct, sabi ni Madge, understanding the boundaries. Okay, sabi ni Marie Chris, tama, yun naman talaga yung dapat, di ba? Correct. But sabi ni Robbie, complacent na dahil sobrang tagal na niya sa team. Pwede rin ganon. Di ba? Yung yung longevity ng inyong relationship mahaba na, so nagiging complacent kayo pareho. Sabi ni Desiree, respect, no limit in sharing insight kahit close, boss ko pa din siya. Tama, di ba? Hindi naman ibig sabihin nun kailangan mo matakot or lagay na lang parati yung boss mo sa pedestal eh. Alam niyo po sa positive workplaces, wala kaming sir, ma'am. Kahit po meron akong 3 years na agwat sa aking mga staff. Charot. 3 years lang. kahit po na medyo malaki ang agwat namin sa age, hindi na po kami nagtatawagan ng sir or ma'am ngayon. Kasi talagang John, Nikki, ganyan, or Gio, yun po yung tawag nila. You don't need to put your leaders generally in a pedestal, pero you need to know when respect is due. Right? You need to know when respect is due. Same with the leader. You need to know when respect is due. Right? Correct. Sabi ni Rafi, even sa interns namin, walang sir, walang ma'am, ganyan. Totoo po yan. Okay. Now, O pasadahan natin to. Nasaan kayo dun sa fear and complacency spectrum? Tingin nga sa Mentimeter. Nasaan kayo dyan? Nandun ba kayo sa fear? Nandun ba kayo sa respect? Nandun ba kayo sa complacency in your current relationship with your bosses? Nasaan kayo? Alam mo, natutuwa ako dito sa activity na to kasi iba-iba yung responses na lumalabas. Bibilangin talaga namin to. Bibilangin talaga namin to. Napakagandang study nito. Tingnan mo, for example, in this case, mas mataas yung respeto, mas marami yung nasa gitna kumpara doon sa second spectrum. Yan. Very good, very good. So nandun kayo sa gitna, no? Nandun sa respect as opposed to the complacency and the fear side. Minsan, like, alam niyo po, especially sa government, pag nag-i-interview po kami ng mga kinoconsult namin or yung mga tinitrain namin, nandun po, marami po sa kanila nasa fear na side, especially if mataas yung leader. Totoo po ba yun? Sa mga nag-work sa government dito, di ba pag masyadong mataas yung leader, kunyari ASEC or USEC or director, level 4, level 3, ganyan, merong that level of fear, di ba, na nararamdaman yung mga tao. And that's natural. That's natural. Kasi baka, hindi naman sa kanya yung dapat yung ma-establish na relationship as a confidant leader. May pinipili naman kasi yung confidant leadership. Eh. 'Di ba? Hindi naman pwedeng like kunyari parang HR1 ganyan personnel 1 tapos biglang makikipag-appear ka na bigla doon sa USEC ng out of the blue mga ganoon, 'di ba? So minsan syempre we also have to be mindful that in certain organizations there is hierarchy and there's value to that hierarchy. So, yun. Sabi ni Kena, kahit dadaan lang sa hallway, kakabahan ka na, di ba, may mga ganyan talaga. Na And walang mali doon, walang mali doon. It's just that, it's the culture. It's the culture in our organizations. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Yun po yung mga spectrums ng confident leadership. No? Ulitin ko po we have transactional and conflict of interest. So that's the first one. We have closed off and oversharing. That's the second one. Tapos yung third one is fear and then complacency. Tapos yung mga nasa gitna po na yun po yung mga, pag leader na po kayo, yun po yung kailangan nating i-embody. Especially yun sa mga direct reports natin in order for us to maximize the relationship and increase also the well-being of the people around us. Okay? Alam niyo naman po kami sa positive workplaces, pag well-being po, seryosohang usapan po talaga yan. So parati pong nagta-target yung mga tinuturo namin in line with how you can protect or how you can take care of yourself and the teams around you. So mag-exercise tayo, no? Doon tayo sa how. How can we balance personal and professional interests as leaders? Ito nga po pala ay picture nung ako po ay na hospital. So ito po yung HR team namin kasi po sobrang hilig ko po sa maalat. So talaga naman po ang kidney stones ay nag-normalize na sa akin. So yung pong team ko na yan, kahit na po hindi ko sinabi sa kanila yata yan nalaman lang nila sa aking partner. Na asawa ko na ngayon. Na nalaman nila tapos pinuntahan nila talaga ako doon sa hospital tapos nagdala sila ng bawal, di ba? Nagdala pa rin sila ng bawal. And they will always check up on me once in a while kasi they're that type of people. So, how can we balance personal and professional interests as leaders? Doon sa transactional and conflict of interest, ito yung mga tips natin, no? Learn how to empathize. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin nun? Just because you're empathizing does not mean that you are already crossing that border of conflict of interest. Iniintindi mo lang naman kung ano yung nararamdaman, pinaggagalingan ng iyong mga staff. So magtanong ka, kamusta ka? 'Di ba? Kamusta? Or ano ba naman yung isang tanong na yon at the end of the day, kamusta yung araw mo? 'Di ba? Hindi naman malaking kawalan. O kaya, the other tip is be mindful of the agenda. Ito, I will always insist. When you are a good leader, good manager, when you are in a meeting, or even kahit na personal, na individual consultation, mag-set kayo ng agenda. Diba? O ano yung gusto mong achieve dito? Diba? Gusto mo ba makinig lang ako? Okay lang. I'm gonna listen to you. Kailangan mo ba ng tulong? Pwede akong makinig muna para bigyan kita ng tulong after kung ano yung kaya ko. kailangan mo ba ng resources? 'Di ba? Mga ganyan. So, be mindful of the agenda whenever you have when you have conversations. Tapos you always reserve trust. Okay? You always reserve trust. Ano yung ibig sabihin nun? Huwag mo masyadong itodo to the point na binigay mo na lahat ng personal information mo dun sa tao. Kasi pag you are giving too much personal information to the person, that's also power that you're giving to them over you. And once that happens, yung conflict of interest, lalo siyang lalo siyang lumalaki yung conflict of interest. Right? So, ang ibig sabihin ng reserve trust is only be comfortable with personal information. Only share personal information that you're comfortable sharing. You don't have to share all of it. Okay, with your boss or with your subordinates. Just be comfortable with what you're willing to share. Eh kung ikaw yung type na open book, eh di share mo lahat, wala kang problema, di ba? Comfort mo yon. Kung ikaw yung type na reserve, huwag ka masyadong mag-share kasi maapektuhan ka talaga ng relationship mo. So that's an example of it. So let's do this exercise in the chat box. Chat box ha. How would you respond? Kunyari, ikaw yung confident leader. Tapos the situation is, you need to assign a highly urgent task to one of your team members. Only one of them is available, but he has been sharing with you about how excited he was to leave early that day for his son's birthday. Sige nga, i-chat nyo. Paano nyo siya i-engage? Paano nyo siya kakausapin? Ano yung magiging mensahe nyo sa kanya? Ano ba yung sasabihin niyo? Walang birthday dito. Trabaho lang. Ganun ba? Ganun ba yung ano yan? Tsaka anak mo lang naman yan. Hindi mo naman birthday yan. Ganun ba yung approach mo dapat? Or ikaw ba yung, talaga, birthday ng anak mo? Pwede bang pumunta? Talaga nag-invade. Ano yung i-advise mo kung ganyan? Sabi ni Kimberly, talk with the other employees who will remain at the office because family first before work. Pwede naman, di ba? Diba? You can be frank with the person. Pwede kang makiusap kung talaga namang meron pwedeng sumalo, saluhan naman tayo, ganyan. Inform him of the matter and think of the... Pwede rin to, maganda to sabi ni Maria. I-involve mo siya doon sa paghanap ng solution. Baka siya yung pwedeng makahanap ng reliever niya para doon sa responsibility na yon, di ba? Sabi ni Raymond, tell him he can go to his son's birthday, but ask him to do the job at home. Pwede rin yan, pero medyo crossing yan the line ng conflict of interest ha. Kasi alam mo na medyo personal time na niya yun at home. So if you ask that person to still do the work while at the son's birthday, parang nadidiminish pa rin yung interest, yung personal interest niya. Unless siguro sobrang urgent talaga na to the point na perishable or talagang walang ibang pwedeng gumawa. Mag-agree kayo na okay lang ba? Kasi wala talaga eh. Parang ganyan. Babawi na lang ako sa iyo. Reregaluhan ko na lang yung anak mo ng Tamagotchi. Mga ganyan. Tamagotchi. Tagal na na. So yun. So those are examples of inform him the reason of the urgency of the task. Pag urgent talaga siya, aabot yan bago sa birthday celebration. O, di ba? Kakausapin mo talaga ng ganun. Respect the son's birthday and at the same time, ask how else they can approach the task. Pwede. Okay. Give clear instructions on how to do the urgent task. Whatever is... ang sweet naman ito ha. Sabi ni Cheryl, give clear instructions on how to do the urgent task. Whatever is not done, you could take over. Okay to. This is a very good suggestion, but only if you're also not taking too much from yourself. Kasi baka naman mamaya, drain ka na rin. Dapat you have to be a bit more objective and protective of your well-being as well. Pero kung kaya mong ibigay, ini-increase mo din yung emotional capital nyo doon sa relationship. So thank you so much, Cheryl, for that insight. Be honest with the employee, sabi ni Desiree. Get insights pa din from him and probably suggestions of who else can do the job, right? So consult. Ayan, sabi ni Glenn, bigayan lang yan. If that is the situation, darating din na ikaw naman yung mapupunta sa situation na yon. So ang point naman here ni Glenn is, pwede mong pagbigyan kung kaya mo kasi compassion goes around. Parang ganon. So baka pwedeng yung mga ibang members mo sa work, dahil meron kayong culture of compassion, hindi na kailangan mag-ask ng tao ng ganong klaseng favor in the future kasi pwedeng i-offer na ng mga tao na nasa paligid mo na pwedeng hindi ka na nga tanongin, biglang kunyari si Marites, biglang lumapit na lang, oh hindi, sige ako na yung gagawa ng trabaho mo, pumunta ka na dun sa birthday mo, birthday ng anak mo, I can cover for that for you. So tama, you try to build a culture of compassion and that will be very helpful. Gusto ko tong sabi ni Marie Charisse, tatanungin niya, can you still find time for this? If not, how can we help each other finish this before the day ends? So di ba, kayo yung gagawa ng paraan pareho at ma-appreciate niya yan, ma-appreciate ng tao yan. Very good. Thank you so much everyone who has answered. Nakakatuwa yung mga answer nyo ha, parang nakakataba ng puso yung inyong mga insights. Doon tayo sa pangalawa. How do we naman balance interest as leaders doon sa closed off and oversharing? Okay. Bago tayo pumunta dito, okay pa ba kayo? Are you all, can you like give me like a yes or a thumbs up or whatever if okay pa kayo or gusto niyo magpahinga sa konsepto mga ganyan? Okay, ayan. Good. Okay. Kasi baka mga sabihin, napakabilis naman magsalita ng speaker nito, at saka bakit parang todo lang siya ng dire-diretso. Ganun talaga. so yan. So punta tayo sa thank you for your answers. I appreciate it. Punta tayo dun sa closed off and oversharing. Paano naman natin mababalanse ito? First is build trust by building the relationship. Okay, invest in the relationship with your level of comfort. Second is know your intent. Ito, pinaka-importanting tip. Know your intention behind sharing personal information. Uulitin ko. Know your intention behind sharing personal information. Kasi most of the time, your intention is what matters. Sinishare mo ba yung information na yon para kaawaan ka? Sinishare mo ba yung information na yon para mas magkaroon ka ng pabor? Chumichismis ka ba? Or sinishare mo yung information na yon kasi feeling mo lalakas ka dun sa boss mo. At pag ikaw yung nag-ask ng favor in the next few days, mas makukuha mo yung favor kumpara sa mga iba mong mga office mates. Ano yung intention mo? Bakit ka nag-share? Nag-share ka ba ng information dahil sa tingin mo, kailangan mo ng tulong araw-araw, mga ganyan. Ano yun? Nag-share ka ba ng information kasi gusto mong i-build yung trust, which is on the first one. Diba? So, intention is very important when you're sharing personal information. Kasi, iba to sa friendship eh. When it's friendship, kahit na yung intention mo in sharing personal information, hindi masyadong klaro, dahil magkakilala na kayo ng matagal-tagal, yung intention mo sometimes becomes inherent and implied in your behavior. Pero with your boss, it's different. Meron kayong tinatawag na power dynamic. Diba? Meron kayong reporting relationship. So ibig sabihin, pwedeng lumabo yung interpretation ng behavior. Okay? Pwedeng lumabo yung interpretation ng behavior kung hindi klaro yung inyong intention. Anong ibig sabihin nun? For example, ang intention mo is, kaya mo sinishare na kailangan mo ng pera. Ang intention mo is, gusto mong malaman ng boss mo na baka possibly hindi ka makapag-extend ng oras kasi meron kang racket. Diba? So nagiging transparent ka. Nagiging transparent ka sa kanya na, boss, uwi po ako talaga ng 5 or 6 ha, kasi magtitinda pa po ako ng banana Q, ganyan, or maglalako pa po ako ng lumpiang sariwa, ganyan, or something like that. So you're being clear, 'di ba? Your intention is klaro tayo para alam mo kung saan ka gagalaw. Pag hindi klaro yung intention nyo, ang pwedeng mangyari doon is yung boss nyo iisipin na baka sinasabi niya to kasi gusto niyang kaawaan ko siya o kaya tulungan ko pa siya dahil doon sa nararamdaman niya. O kaya baka sinasabi niya to kasi gusto niyang pagbigyan ko siya, hindi lang ngayon, but also in the future kasi mas sensitive yung sitwasyon niya kumpara sa ibang tao in the organization. nagkakaroon ng mga ganong muni-muni kasi merong tinatawag na power dynamic in your relationship. You are not just a personal relationship. You are also a professional direct reporting relationship. So intention is very, very important. You have to clarify that when you are opening up more information. And syempre, there are certain topics that are off limits, 'di ba? Sa inyong mga opisina. Minsan, syempre, pag hindi pa kayo naman talaga nandun sa ganung relationship, tapos biglang kukwentuhan mo siya ng sex life mo, ganyan. Tapos bigla na lang magulat yung boss, ay, ba't ganun ka detalye yung mga kwento? Hindi ko alam kung paano magre-react dito, di ba? So know also certain, o kaya nagkwento ka sa religion, tapos alam mo naman yung boss mo na hindi naman religious, ganyan or something, or politics. So sometimes know your limits when it comes to off-limit topics. Kung okay lang, edi okay lang i-discuss. So I want to ask you this question, this activity. How would you respond if, as a confident leader, if one of your team members begins to rant to you about another coworker, okay, about another coworker who you also have been experiencing problems with? So i-practice nyo to, i-practice nyo yan. Ano yung sa chat box? Ano yung sasabihin nyo? Ano yung i-advise nyo dito sa tao na to? Niyang mag-rant na grabe. Ano ba tong office mate ko na to? Napakatamad. Hindi magaling sa trabaho. Ang baba mag-produce ng resulta, ganyan. Nag-rant ka or something like that. O kaya yung parang alam mo kaya ganyan yan kasi may may pagkamakate, ganyan. Kaya mahilig siyang kaya hindi niya nagagawa yung trabaho niya maayos kasi aalis ka agad ng opisina kasi maghahanap ng lalaki, ganyan. Ganun na yung level ganun na kunyari yung level nung chismis mo, di ba? So ano yung grabe. Grabe yung comment nito. Sabi talaga niya. Ginatungan pa niya, di ba? Naku, sinabi mo pa. Galing mo ron, ha? So ito, may mga advice na tayo dito. Sabi ni Rio, listen, then ask consent before giving feedback. Ask her what help or support that she needs. This is an example of clarifying intention. Diba? Suporta ba kailangan mo? Pakikiramay lang ba kailangan mo? Pakikinig lang ba kailangan mo? That is intention, clarifying intention. Set a small talk and know the situation of both sides and solve the problem. Stay as neutral at wag mo nga naman gatukan. Oo nga naman, wag mo namang If there's any concern, try addressing it by talking to them. Communicate and settle your issues to your office mate para hindi na mas lumaki. Tell her you can talk to him directly, pag-usapan po nila, or they can go to HR if there's a concern. Oh, tama naman, pwede nyo i-escalate. Pag kailangan i-escalate kasi kailangan talaga dahil nakaka-apekto na sa trabaho. That way, hindi ikaw yung susubok na mag-personal na mag-solve ng problema. Kasi alalahanin nyo ha, when you're in the office, when you're bosses, your job is not to solve people's personal problems. Diba? You're not supposed to solve their personal problems. You're supposed to help them. Diba? You're supposed to help them out a little bit para hindi maapektuhan yung trabaho nila. Pero that is your personal decision. That's not your professional decision. Okay? So ano pa to? Ask and listen to both sides. Hear out but speak or reply to her only with facts. Ito maganda. May facts. Dapat may ebidensya, may resibo. I will address the problem if I myself saw the same problems or I would observe the coworker. Ayan, to may data gathering, di ba? Research-based. I would observe the coworker to see if may problem talaga before I tell the person. Yan, very good. Di ba? Nakikita nyo na talaga yung balance. Ha? Okay. Doon tayo sa last, bago tayo dumating sa final na na natin. Fear and complacency. Dito kahit na wag na tayo mag-exercise. Kasi medyo klaro naman to eh. Ang tips ko dun sa fear and complacency is, number one is, you could always, kunyari, hindi masyado kang nandun sa left or masyado kang nandun sa right. Check in with your team. Sometimes you can ask for their opinion. Kamusta ba kayo? Kamusta ba ako sa inyo? 'Di ba? Do you think that you like the way that I am leading the group? Huwag kayong mahiya. Huwag kayong mahiya sa ganyan. Kasi ikakalago nyo lang yan eh. Magkakaroon pa kayo ng additional na growth areas if you ask for the team's opinion. Diba? Also, show your competence. Pag leader ka, nalagay ka dun sa posisyon na yon o kaya napunta ka dun sa posisyon na yon kasi meron kang kakayahan. So wag mong itago, 'di ba? Wag mong itabi. Gamitin mo mismo kung ano yung alam mo, malambing ka ba? 'Di ba may mga tao diyan like for example si Alma, mataas yung kanyang woo. So pag kumausap siya ng tao at malumanay at malambing, yun ang kanyang strength. Competence niya yung pakikipag-usap na kaya niyang magpakalma or kaya niyang mag-influence ng other people because of the way that he uses his words, mga ganyan. O kaya ikaw ba yung type na for example ni we also have a colleague na sobrang galing niya naman mag-analyze ng information. Kasi mag-gather muna siya ng maraming information, magde-deliberate siya about the information na makuha niya, tsaka siya mag-act. That's the way he shows his competence. So show your competence as a leader para hindi ka katakutan. Irespeto ka. Yun yung mas importante. And establish yourself as a guide. At dito yung sinasabi hindi ko alam kung naalala nyo yung sinasabi ni Maribel at saka ni Gio dun sa first 2 sessions. No, si Maribel parang sinasabi niya na when you are a mentor, whether it's informal or whether it's formal, you have to clarify kung ano yung objective ng mentoring relationship. 'Di ba? Yung pagiging guide mo, merong specific detail. Yung pagiging guide saan? Pagiging guide sa pagturo ng certain skill? Pagiging guide ba yon sa pagharap sa mga problema? Pagiging guide ba yon sa pagiging guide ba yon sa pagiging mas magaling na leader? Establish yourself as a guide pero be specific about ano yung pagiging guide na yon. That's in relation to your competence. Okay? So those are the 3 house of the spectrum, 'di ba? Paano niyo i-improve yung inyong skills. So let me now end this. Ay, nawala yung picture. Let me now end this by this quote from a very wise person. Life is too short. We work 8 to sometimes 18 hours in a day. That's 1/2 to 2/3 of our week life. Most of it we spend working with our colleagues. It helps to live great experiences with them. Do you agree with this? Do you agree with this quote? Yeah. Yes. Ayan. Di ba totoo naman, maiksi ang buhay, ang dami pa nung time na ini-spend mo sa trabaho, tapos magiging miserable ka. So, it helps to live great experiences with them. So, tandaan nyo to, kasi the wise person who said this was me. So itatak nyo sa ulo nyo yun. Joke lang. Joke lang. I also want to give a shout out. Uy, no, sayang walang picture si Reka. Or baka kailangan i-refresh. Tingnan natin.
If you refresh, makikita pati yung picture in the last slide, John.
Ayun. So yun, nga sayang, hindi nakita yung pictures. This is the Positive Workplaces team. We just finished our outing in R&R. And special shout out lang dun sa gumawa po ng content. Aaminin ko po sa inyo, hindi po ako yung source ng research nitong content na to. Ang source po ng research na to ay si Chi, si Gabby, si Reka, at si Joyce. They are here in this room. Please celebrate them for providing this great content for everyone. So Chi, Gabby, Reka, and Joyce, thank you so much for helping me and for co-creating the content that we have today. That's it. For me, I hope everyone was able to pick up a lot from that session. Alma, I give it back to you.
Ayan. Thanks so much, John. Ayan, so Gabby and I will take over for the Q&A session that actually before we mabilis may nagtanong na agad ng question. Actually, Gabby, before we post that pala, I wanna show you guys the link that will allow us to i-share din ata ni Gabby. So we make use of this yung projector panel pa rin siya.
Oh wait, okay. Hold on. Sige, go Alma. You can share. I'll fix this.
Sige. Don't worry. Okay. Ito po. So again, you can use your device to so yan, pwede nyo po i-scan yung QR code na nakikita nyo po, or you can access the link that is being sent by our tech support. Ayan, bago siya matabunan. Ayan. I-resend lang po namin. Ayan. So yan, please join us for the Q&A if you have any budding questions that you want to ask John regarding his program, or questions in relation to how you are as leader, as a coworker with your boss. Scan this with your phone, or simply click the link. So ayan, maybe we can start answering some questions that are showing up. No, Gabby?
Yes. Actually, John, kanina pa to question. Habang
Oh.
dinidiscuss mo yung different spectrums. Ang tanong niya is, paano mo sasabihin sa kanya pag di na okay yung approach niya? So if your leader siguro is on the opposite ends of the spectrum na, how do you tell them? Or like, ilambawa si employee naman, nandoon na din siya. How do you tell them?
Okay. Alam mo, we have a course on this, no? It's called Positive Communication Course. I think it's going to be on June, somewhere in June ba or July, something like that. July. Yung pag-approach natin either sa leaders or kahit na subordinates man yan, tapos hindi mo gusto yung kanyang approach. Alam niyo po ang mga tao, pag kinakausap niyo po yan ng subukan niyo pong i-highlight kaagad yung pangit. Parang sinabi mo na, kunyari, hindi mo gusto yung pakikitungo niya sa'yo, tapos sinabi mo na, alam mo, meron sana akong problemang i-raise sa'yo eh. Ano yung mararamdaman mo pag yun yung bungan? May problema ako na i-raise sa'yo. Di ba ang mararamdaman mo kaagad is tataas yung guard. Especially kung ikaw yun, tataas yung guard mo. So when you are using positive communication, kunyari, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the sandwich method. Magsabi ka muna ng maganda, sabihin mo yung kung ano yung feedback mo na constructive criticism, tapos magsabi ka ulit ng maganda na sunod para magkaroon ng mas maganda balance. Parang pwedeng sabihin mo, alam nyo, kunyari, sir, na-appreciate ko po talaga na parati nyo pong tinatawag yung attention ko para po ako ay mas mag-grow as a person. Kasi po, tinitingnan ko po yon as a way for me to improve myself better. Kaya lang po, sana naman po wag sa harap ng ibang tao. Kasi talagang napapahiya po ako sa kanila. And medyo bumababa po yung moral ko. Pero irerespeto ko po yung desisyon nyo kung ano po yung sa tingin nyo mas tama kasi kayo po yung boss ko at kayo po yung leader ko. Kung sinabi ko sa inyo yon, ano yung mararamdaman nyo? Sige nga, sa chat box. Kung yun yung narinig mo na feedback, tapos ikaw yung boss. Diba? Sabi ni Kim, it's more acceptable. Sabi, diba? Thank you daw. Sabi niya. So, ano, wow, medyo kinakabahan lang ako siya kausapin, ganyan, or something. So yung mga ganyan, yung when you start with a positive, the reason why, and you start and end with a positive, it lowers the defenses of individuals. Kasi ang nangyayari pag yung tinatawag natin na fight or flight, that is people's natural reaction whenever they are seeing a threat. Diba? So kunyari nakita na nila na ay parang i-criticize ako nito, yung tono niya parang ganun papunta. Siyempre yung tao magiging protective. Lalo na kung hindi mataas yung security levels niya. At alam niyo po, sa Pilipinas, sobrang daming tao ang insecure. Ano niyo po yan? Itatak niyo po sa bato. Marami pong insecure sa atin. Pag naabutan niyo po yung mga insecure na tao, tapos inunahan niyo po yung negative kaagad na criticism or feedback doon sa person na yon, ang mangyayari po is malamang negative din po yung inyong makukuha. Subukan niyo pong gamitin yung sandwich approach. That's one. We also have something called the positivity ratio na yung feedback na pagbigay na yon is, sabi nila, mas tumataas yung relationship or yung performance or engagement pag nagbibigay ka muna ng 5 or 6 na positive feedback for every 1 negative feedback. So, hindi naman ibig sabihin tinatakpan mo yung negative. Ang ibig sabihin lang is pinapalakas mo muna yung level of relationship and security that you can have with that person at that moment para yung lakas ng relationship na yon will withstand whatever feedback you're going to come across. You're going to convey. So yun yung 2 examples of how you can reach out to certain people if you're having difficult time, getting through them because sa tingin niyo sobra na. Okay, positive communication. So it's one of our courses in July. We're gonna plug. Anything else? Yes, Gabby. Ano po
Yes.
nasagot?
Thank you, John. So, di ba, it requires really parang interpersonal skills, communication skills to be able to do that. Kaya itong next question natin, actually, Alma, can you read it? It is very related to that question. Paano nga?
Yeah, ayan. So, paano po kapag you are an introvert type of person, tapos leader ka po, how will you build a confident leadership or create a deeper relationship with your subordinate?
Okay. Alam niyo po, marami po kaming content on strengths. Yung tinatawag natin na strengths leadership or strengths-based leadership. So yung strengths po, according to the definition of Gallup, strengths are your natural inclinations that translate into performance, to near perfect performance. Ibig sabihin ng natural inclinations is kung ano na yung nakagawian nyo, kung saan po kayo magaling. Kunyari, ako po, nakagawian ko po na mahusay ako magsalita. Kasi po, simula po nung college, nagdedebate na po ako. So part po yun ng talent ko. Pero mababa po ang empathy ko. So, so alam ko po yun. Alam ko po na meron akong ganong condition. Hindi po ibig sabihin na hindi ko kayang mag-empathize. Hindi lang po yun yung natural inclination ko. So ano yung strengths? Yung strengths po, pag nalaman niyo po, you can someone like share like a link of a VIA character profile or strengths profile in the chat box? Yung strengths po na yan, pag na-assess nyo kung ano yung strength nyo, yung iba po dyan libre yung mga surveys. Pag nalaman yung strengths nyo, tingnan nyo muna kung anong strength yung pwede nyong gamitin, okay? Tingnan nyo muna kung ano yung strengths na pwede nyong gamitin para po ma-increase nyo yung confidence nyo kahit po kayo introvert. Hindi ko po kayo bibiruin, ako po ay isang introvert. Nag-take po ako 3 beses ng Myers-Briggs at introversion po ang lumabas 3 beses. Mukha lang po akong extrovert kasi po I'm utilizing my strength on significance. Gusto ko pong maka-impact sa ibang tao. Gusto ko pong yung ginagawa po namin ngayon, pag naiuwi nyo po to at natuto po kayo, magiging mas mahusay kayo na leader at yung mga tao po na inyo pong pinamumunuan, mas magiging mabuti po na mga followers or mas magiging mabuting leaders in the future. That is my strength of significance. I like affecting people. It doesn't mean that I'm not an introvert. It just means that I'm using a particular strength that I'm comfortable with in order to get to a certain result that I want. Does that make sense? So I'm confident because I'm using a certain strength. If I didn't have that strength, I will look for another strength. For example, another strength for me is gratitude. Sa VIA character ko naman to. So, yung gratitude ko naman, ang iisipin ko, paano ba ako magiging confident? Magpapasalamat ako muna doon sa tao. Kasi pag nagpasalamat ka doon sa tao, parang wala namang usually negative na bumabalik, di ba? So, mas nagiging confident ako kasi alam ko na when I convey my appreciation, I will also receive generally appreciation in return, especially for Filipinos. So, that's another example of that's my level of comfort, that is my natural inclination and strength, natutulungan po ako noon mag-build ng confidence. So sana po nakatulong po sa inyo yon kasi po napakalaking tulong sa atin kung alam natin kung ano yung ating mga strengths.
Ayan. Thanks for that answer, John. I actually I like this question, no? Following that thought process. So si John just told us about a person that wants to connect with their leader more, or a leader that wants to connect to the coworkers. In the same realm of connecting, this one, the one you're pointing at, Gabby, how can you start a confident relationship with your boss if he or she doesn't trust anyone?
Well, the quick and dirty answer here is you don't have to always have a confident relationship with your boss. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, di ba? It's based on level of comfort. So abangan nyo na magtiwala kayo sa isa't isa based on time. Pwede kang mag-initiate. Minsan nabe-break natin yung ice pag tayo yung nauunang mag-share ng information na personal sa atin. Kunyari ako, mahilig ako mag-share sa team ko ng sobrang personal na information. Minsan nga naiirita na yata sila na parang, ay, grabe naman, sobrang TMI na yon dyan. Pero because I share some of this information, kahit na boss nila ako, hopefully, na-humanize ako doon sa relationship kasi alam nila what they have to know about me on a personal level. So feeling ko, you can start with that siguro. You can start sharing some personal information that you're confident with or comfortable with. O kaya you can acknowledge some of the good things that your boss is doing. Kasi minsan, kaya hindi nagtitiwala yan kasi maraming beses na paso, pero baka kailangan din yan ng additional appreciation or security or compassion na minsan pag sabihin mo, magsulat ka lang ng note, sasabihin mo na, boss, alam niyo po hindi ko parating ginagawa to, pero gusto ko lang po malaman na na-appreciate ko po yung ginawa niyo today kasi napaganda niyo po yung araw ko dahil natulungan niyo po ako dito sa task na to. Hello Marites Goshi, talaga nag-post talaga sila. So pwedeng ganon, pwede kayong mag-start ng positive emotions. 'Di ba? Pwede kayong mag-start ng positive emotions by appreciating people, showing gratitude, showing compassion without asking for anything in return, or without expecting anything in return. Kung mag-work siya, okay. Kung hindi, wag niyong i-push. Baka hindi talaga ready yung person dun sa confidant relationship. Okay lang yun. Di ba? Hindi lang naman siya yung pwede niyong gawa ng ganong relationship. Meron pa kayong mga ibang colleagues or leaders na pwedeng gawa ng ganong klaseng relationship. Okay?
Okay. Ayun, no? So John, that's great, no? And so that's for yung mga boss na hindi ganun ka-open or mas mahirap sa kanila para mag-share. May nakita rin ako question up there, Gabby, if you scroll all the way up to the top. And all the way up to the top. On the flip side naman, John, what if how do you approach a leader who is an oversharer naman? Tas nagiging negative na yung effect niya to the team.
Oh, baka dapat sa inyo yung tanong na to, Alma. Kasi like you see this coming from me. Like I overshare a lot of information. So for example, in your case, Alma and Gabby, like how would you approach me if I overshare too much?
Well, I'd actually love to answer this question. How do I approach a leader who's an overshare? Well, again, seeing a person as an overshare, it can be perspective, no? For example, for me, I take someone who shares a leader that shares a lot of their personal life. I actually appreciate it. That shows that this leader is open to bring down the walls, is open to closing that power distance, if you've heard of that term before, no? Na hindi siya yung, don't call me sir or ma'am, I want you to call me by my name. And what I like is, I really like that because it shows that they're open. Although I do acknowledge that it comes to a point that it can be too much. And that's where it always comes back to open, positive communication, no? Like John mentioned earlier, na if hindi mo gusto ang nangyayari, you either have to voice it out. Although I am aware na there are some people, lalo na if there is a boss to a coworker dynamic, iisipin mo, should I even share that? What if matanggal pa ako sa trabaho just for sharing the truth? And do you use the systems in place in your company, if may HR kayo, to express your concerns so that the problem will be solved? So, ayun, that is my personal answer on this.
Okay, thanks. I trained you well. Okay. Meron ako naisip. Kasi like, I had a boss before. Hindi naman oversharing, pero marami, rin siya, mahilig din siyang mag-share ng mga very personal information. One of the things that that worked for me was I ask questions that are very polite. Alam mo yung parang kunyari oversharing na ganyan. Tapos tatanong ko, uy, sir, ano po yung gusto nyong maging product or ano po yung gusto nyong gawin ko in relation with the information that you're sharing with me? 'Di ba? Kasi sasagot naman yun di ba? Pwede mo sagutin na wala lang, gusto ko lang may makinig sa akin. O kaya gusto ko lang malaman mo para you will know how to approach me in the future once I'm put in this certain situation. So you can ask very polite questions. Sir, ano po yung gusto nyong gawin ko in line with this information that you're sharing with me? O kaya, kamustahin nyo lang, di ba? Boss, okay po ba kayo? Kasi minsan kailangan lang din nun ng affection o kaya ng compassion, di ba? So you can ask them, kamusta po kayo? Ganyan. And I won't advise this pero minsan basta makapag-vent lang yung tao, hindi nyo kailangan i-absorb yung emosyon at storya na sinasabi nila sa inyo. Minsan makapag-vent lang sila tapos magbigay ka lang ng mga reinforcement doon sa communication. okay na yun eh. For some people, they just sometimes need an ear or a heart to listen to them. So you can do some of those things. You can ask questions, you can also just listen to them and hear them out. Tapos yung extreme side na yung sinasabi ni Alma na, boss, medyo I feel a bit, pwede kang mag-start muna na, oy boss, alam mo, sobrang natutuwa ako kasi ang dami mong share sa akin na napakaganda na information and I feel honored. Even if I'm just your staff, pero binibigay mo sa akin mga information na to. You know, sometimes I feel uncomfortable kasi minsan nakikita kita in a different light. Alam mo yun? Mga ganyang hirit. Okay, pero daanin mo sa biro, di ba? Kung close na kayo, minsan daanin mo sa biro. Uy, grabe, TMI ka naman, sir. Yung mga ganon. And those prompts are good signals naman. So yun. You can use sandwich method, you can ask questions, you can joke around to give some signals. But it will make them feel safe pa rin. Make them feel safe. Para hindi magbago yung pakikitungo nila sa inyo.
So I can really sense it. In order for you to kung sino man nagtanong na to, in order to solve this problem, you also need a good amount of understanding on your end as well. So ayun, I think we have time for at least one last question, John. Maybe what Gabby can do is she'll share the entire screen. Maybe there's one question that is a burning question for you, John.
Yeah.
Grabe ka, pinagtrabaho mo pa ako lalo. Ito ilan to, mga 50 yata to. Pili ka na lang, ano yung sa tingin yung mas relevant? Ay, gusto ko to, nilalandi ka ng boss mo.
Ay, but this is true, this happens.
Gusto ko to. Gusto ko
this
yan.
happens.
Okay lang ba? Okay lang ba sa inyo? Sagutin natin to or you think another question is better? Sige nga, tanong natin.
Wow, there are...
may experience ako.
Yes.
May experience ako. Hindi ako yung nalalandi, pero may experience ako na kasi because I came from HR. So this is not foreign to me. This situation is not foreign to me. Push daw. Ayan. It's okay, sir, for awareness. Okay. Sige. Nilalandi ka ng boss mo, how would you say na hindi ka interested nang hindi siya offended? Alam niyo po, yung paglalandi minsan ng mga boss staff, that could count as sexual harassment. Especially if there is favor, 'di ba? That comes along the lines ng paglalandi ng boss. Okay, it just simply the boss is making you feel uncomfortable because they're making like sexual innuendos or advances ganyan. So by law, mali po talaga siya. Minsan hindi po alam ng boss na panglalandi na po pala 'yon. Sa ganung sitwasyon, medyo mababaw pa at hindi pa masyadong rooted yung intention na pangharas. So ano yung pwede niyong gawin? Positive communication ulit. Pwede niyong sabihin na, boss, na-appreciate ko po yung closeness natin and I really appreciate that you confide with me on even your personal things. Kaya lang minsan po na nahihiya po ako kasi po yung mga tao po sa paligid natin, pinag-iisipan na po tayo ng masama. At naririnig ko po yun also from our other office mates. So parang hindi mo sinasabi directly na manyak mo naman, 'di ba? Parang ang sinasabi mo is you don't feel comfortable because you're also particular with both your interests, not just with yours. So nag-positive feedback ka muna, nagkaroon ka ng feedback sa gitna, tapos pwede mong sa dulo sabihin mo na, boss, pwede mo naman gawin to pag tayo na lang. De, joke lang. Joke lang po. Boss, pwede naman pong maybe you can temper yung mga ganitong klaseng actions. Tapos sasabihan po kita if I feel uncomfortable every time it's done. Okay po ba 'yon sa inyo? 'Di ba? Pwedeng ganun yung approach mo. Consultative pa rin. You're not imposing on the boss, you're also consulting with you're also consulting with him or with her. So yun yung sinasabi ko na nandun pa sa mababaw, ha? Pag nandun na yan sa malalim, ano yung ibig sabihin ng malalim? May intention talaga. Talagang alam mo na medyo bastos talaga siya, ganun. Tapos talaga namang ang intention niya is landiin ka at magkaroon siya ng way towards you. Pwede nyo pong sabihin muna ng lightly through positive communication. Pag hindi po siya huminto, i-escalate nyo po yan. hindi po biro yung mga ganitong klaseng tao. Kasi po, ito pong klaseng behavior na ganyan ay lalo lang lumalaki hanggat walang nagko-call out. So they have to be corrected. If I were the leader, because I have this behavior, I would love for someone to be able to tell me very strongly na you make me uncomfortable, please stop. So if that person doesn't stop, i-escalate nyo po. Marami pong routes yan. Pwede po kayo sa HR, pwede po may anonymous po doon. May mga, for a lot of companies, may mga anonymous po na mga na pwede kayong mag-provide ng feedback. Pwede po kayong mag-iwan ng note sa HR na anonymous din, na kahit na in writing, ganyan or something. You don't have to detail it to the point na i-identify mo yung sarili mo. Diba? Pwede mo i-identify yung person. Pero yung pag-identify mo sa sarili mo, pwedeng hindi kung hindi ka komportable. Tapos sabihin mo yung intention mo. Natutunan ko to doon sa equity teams when I was still in Monash, na you need to have control over what you want to happen. So pag magsusulat ka sa HR, sabihin mo lang kung ano yung intention mo. Hindi ko po siyang gustong matanggal ha. Gusto ko lang pong huminto. Parang gano'n. Pwede mong isulat yun doon sa letter. Pero kung talagang gusto mo siyang matanggal, ganyan, sabihin mo rin na, alam niyo po, 3 na po kami na minamanyak nito. So sana naman po magkaroon ng procedure para po talagang ma-process siya, because this behavior is a bad reflection to the agency, to the organization, to this company, and this person has to be taught a lesson. You can be as direct as that, but you have to be clear with your intentions. I'm saying this because it's negative culture if people are always in that climate of intimidation and fear. And yung sexual harassment creates the intimidation and fear atmosphere. So sana po magawan niyo po ng paraan yon in that way. At makatulong po sana yung advice ko sa inyo, kung di man sa HR, kung meron kayong ibang avenues to say it to, like kung merong safety or kung merong ibang managers who could help you out with that, you can reach out to some of them para po matulungan kayo dun sa sitwasyon na yun. Kasi po, again, hindi po biro yung ganyang sitwasyon. Kailangan po yung ma-address. At hindi rin po yan dapat tiisin. Kasi po, nasa workplace po tayo, wala po tayo sa brothel. So, sana po makorek natin yung mga ganyang behaviors ng mga tao. Okay? So, naging intense at seryoso yung conversation bigla.
Yes.
Parang k-drama lang.
And that was very well answered. At least from the questions na sinasagot natin, nakikita talaga natin na in the realm of being confident with your bosses, there are really some downsides to these things. So, ayan, thank you for your answers to that, John. Ayan. So, Gabby, I think I'm screen sharing now, no?
Yeah, you are.
It is. So, ayan, so John, again, thank you for participating in or answering the questions rather sa Q&A. And para sa lahat ng tao nag-send ng questions, I'm so sorry na we have time constraints. We would love to have answered all your questions. And thank you for participating na lang. Lastly na lang po, I just want to mention na John, that was a very, very great experience. And I'm sure that a lot of people were able to enjoy your learnings. But I guess I want to ask you, do you have any final note for the audience?
I-follow niyo po kami sa social media, sa Facebook lalo. Kasi kailangan po namin ng additional na followers dahil may target po kami this month. So didiretsuhin ko na po kayo, kailangan po namin ng 150 pa na follow. Kasi po, ang objective namin is maka-reach pa ng sobrang daming tao dito sa mga webinars na to. So kung na-enjoy niyo po siya at natuto po kayo, paki-share naman po yung aming page, mag-comment po kayo or mag-iwan po kayo ng reviews ganyan sa Facebook page po namin. Kasi po, makakatulong po talaga siya sa iba pang tao na dapat matuto ng positive psychology at ng well-being management. So yun po. Pangalawa po siguro is kung meron po kayong mga needs when it comes to trainings, mga ganyan, at nakikita nyo po sa amin yung mga topics na kailangan nyo, please feel free to reach out. Kasi we would be glad to also do some of those trainings for you. But on a conceptual note, on the level of confident leadership, I just want to say na confident leadership is based on comfort. Okay? It's based on trust. It's based on readiness of the person to be able to extend their relationship to the next level, not just personal. Nakita niyo po yung benefits, napakadami po. Diba? Napakadami ng benefits ng confident leadership. But it will start from the leader. Okay? It will start generally it will start from the leader. So kung kayo po ay magiging leader, meron po kayong mga tips. 'Di ba? May mga tips po kayo na nakita doon sa spectrum. Gamitin niyo po 'yun. Kung gusto niyo pong mag-benefit doon sa confident leadership na concept. Kasi pag nagamit niyo po 'yon at nag-benefit kayo at binalikan niyo kami, ikakatuwa po namin. Ibig po sabihin, nagkaroon kami ng impact sa inyo. Nagkaroon po kami ng impact doon sa inyong estilo ng pamumuno para po, alam niyo naman po, hindi po madami ang napakahusay na leader sa Pilipinas. Napakababa po ng grade, ng level ng leadership natin sa bansa. And the more we are able to educate more leaders about well-being, about positive psychology, about leadership, the more we are able to have that more positive work culture in our organizations. Kaya yun po yung aking final message. I-spread nyo po yung word para po mas marami pa pong matuto ng ganitong mga klaseng konsepto. Yes.
Hey, thank you so much, John, for that wonderful ending piece. And of course, to officially thank you for this speaking engagement, si Gabby will read our certificate for you.
Yes, John, we would like to present to you your certificate of appreciation. So this certificate is issued to John Baluyot for generously providing your time and expertise as a resource speaker for the webinar Confidant Leadership, Drawing the Line Between Leadership and Friendship, held on the 29th of April. Signed, Gio Kapinpin and Nikki Vergara.
Oh, galing. May ganito pa pala pati ako, no, Charles?
Yeah. So thank you, John. And of course, thank you to our audience for attending. But like what John mentioned earlier, no, I still have some final pieces for everyone before we send the evaluation form. Lastly, that this has greatly concluded our free webinar series this April on the boss that you want to be. Again, for those who weren't able to attend our session with Maribel and Jericho, don't worry because yung videos namin ay available on our YouTube channel, which you can also follow and subscribe if you like the content that you're seeing here. So ayun, thank you for joining us this April. I also want to show this. Meron po magsisend sa amin sa chat. Our tech team will send. If you like the experience that you saw from John at this moment and you want to see John's magic on how he shows his expertise and talents and teaches people to become better leaders of their own well-being and to become better leaders, you can actually access this link that ayan, nasend na po ng tech team namin. And ang makikita nyo ay ayan, I hope you guys see po that this is the form that you will see. So of course, indicate your email as well as your position so it's easy for us to reach out to you. And what you can do is gusto ko ng coaching at gusto ko ang confident leadership. Yan ang gusto kong request. And then you can even choose the preferred coaches that you want and you can send us your request. So yan, very easy lang po yung form and we would love to hear from you if you're open to these sessions. So ayan. Before we go, please follow us on Facebook. Napakadali lang po. I-search nyo lang Positive Workplaces sa Facebook at mahanap nyo po kami. If you like this content, madalas po kami mag-post. Makikita nyo po si John, Gabby, Alma, and a lot of our leaders of well-being because that is what we try to do to achieve our goals. So I encourage everyone to follow us on Facebook. Please po. And lastly, ayan, so if you want to email us, you can also reach us through this email, learn@positiveworkplaces.org. And ayan, we will now be sending the evaluation form in the chat below. Once again, thank you, John, for this wonderful sharing of expertise, as well as thank you for everyone for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks everyone. Picture.
Yes, ayan nga pala. Bago akong makalimutan. And gusto ko po makita yung mga beautiful faces. Ayan.
Yan.
Pag wala
yung mga kailangan dito ng pruweba na umattend kayo kasi hanapin ng mga prof nyo, pwede nyo ipakita yung picture. para alam nila na dito kayo.
Sige, wala muna magchat-chat. Ayan. Okay. So ayan, so siguro mga 5 pages tayo. So when I say 3, 2, 1 smile, i-hold nyo lang po ang inyong mga smile. Okay? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay. Hold your smiles. Ayan, ang daming naka-on ng camera. Okay, okay. Ayan. Thank you everyone for turning on your camera and joining us this afternoon. Ayan, sana po hindi matabunan yung evaluation link. Paulit-ulit po kami magsisend para hindi po mawala. Reminder lang that this will only be open for 30 minutes po. So, ayan. Thank you.
Yes. And ano po, if ever may hindi, minsan po kasi dahil masyadong marami yung mga uma-attend, if